Now, to be honest, I've never been to therapy, but I do like to talk about my problems to strangers. So when I heard that I could come up here today at this gathering and talk about some very important issues to me, I just couldn't resist. Especially since nowadays it seems almost uncommon to hold too much personal information to oneself and oneself only. So I will share one of my biggest annoyances to you today. Now, I've always been an odd person when it comes to meeting new people and befriending those who are like-minded. Whenever I would meet someone like that, of course we would do just what normal friends would do. We would share our problems, we would share our daily lives, our issues. But sometimes it got beyond just simple sharing. It got to a point where we've become quite invested into each other. And when I say invested, I truly mean invested. I would sacrifice my time and my energy, of course, to this new person's problems and issues. And I went on to invest, just like every new investor does, with great enthusiasm and patience. And I didn't think of possible risks that were accompanied by my actions, or as I would call them now, my investments. And as some investors may face financial loss from time to time, my downfall was of a completely other sort. Now, what I experienced during those times was I had completely neglected my own life. You may wonder why. Why do that? How did you get to that point? Well, I simply put this one's personal life first. I put their problems first. I put my energy into them, of course, because they've become such an important person to me and myself. In my life, of course. It was almost as if their business has become my business too, but on a very personal matter. So, what exactly happened then, you may ask? Well, apart from neglecting my own life, my tasks, I had a problem that I just couldn't get up the energy to fulfill my tasks even after I've spent so much energy on this other person. Now you may say, yeah, couldn't do a to-do list, right? Even if I had put me-related stuff on that to-do list, there was no energy left for myself, even then. Because emotionally, that wasn't my priority, of course. But where to go from that problem, or from that issue? Well, after having me rant for a couple of minutes now, you may ask what you could gain of it. Is there something that may interest you? Well, since I do believe that at least some people among us here today may have struggled with similar issues, not being able to form connections with other people without losing oneself, feeling the need to support the lives and so on, may it be friends, may it be family members. And even though the urge is here to connect with other people on a deeper level every day, have your social connections surround you. If it comes to a matter where you simply cannot prioritize yourself, or you simply feel that there's some kind of social pressure that may even shift your priorities, this would be a clear indication that you're not as much in control as you think to be or as you would like to be. Now, what I can tell you from my experience, I had to do some reflecting on that, of course. It seemed like a quite big issue to me when I found myself lost in that person, neglecting myself, my tasks. And I began to think about that. There is truly a deep wish to be able to manage one's energy every day, to be able to still live through everyday life, have those deep connections you want to with people you like and love, still be able to pursue your goals, not lose sight of everything else. Now, self-prioritization. It may seem like an unnecessary term or way too obvious in this kind of discussion, I know. But I firmly do believe that among all of us today, there's still room and space for better access and more sympathy towards one's own needs. And I want you to get a tougher grip on that one. So I will demonstrate the absolute necessity of self-prioritization by means of an illustrative example, and that is the human heart. Now, as most of us here know, the human heart and its physiological and anatomical functions, apart from all of that, the main function that we want to focus on now is the supply with oxygen and nutrients to all the other organs in your body. How does it do that? How is it able to supply efficiently, sufficiently to every other organ in the body? Well, it can only perform this task optimally by getting those nutrients and that oxygen first. And I really do believe, I firmly believe, that this is something we oftentimes forget nowadays. So, among all of us here today, there will surely be someone who may have struggled in the past or in the present, or even in the future, with such a problem. And though I don't want to discourage you in connecting and forming deep relationships with other people, I want to remind you to not lose yourself in someone else's business, in someone else's life, in the problems, especially not in the feelings, not to that point where you lose yourself, at least. And ultimately, this realization brought me, at least, to a point where I was able to get a grip on my own energy. Just watch where it flows. Manage my tasks, not lose sight of everything else in the process, of course. Still be able to pursue my goals. And still form that deep connection with people. Now, at least, I'm not afraid anymore to lose myself in someone else's business. So, I want you to think about that. Try managing your energy. Identify loopholes where you might be wasting it. Maybe on somebody who doesn't reciprocate it, or who takes up way too much of it. And remember, in the end, it's all for your own sake.